If you're looking for a pro wrestling podcast with taste, Buster Unmasked is the only podcast for you, where real pro wrestlers talk real pro wrestling and no bullshit allowed. All right, guys, you heard it right there. You're watching Buster Unmasked. We're here. We're live, and look, you can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on X. But more importantly than all that, you can catch us on the Genesis TV network every single Thursday night at 10 p.m. Central Time. It's on Roku, Fire Stick. Go check it out. It's the Genesis TV network. Every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Central Time, go watch Buster Unmasked. And look, guys, we got an awesome show today. Look, my guest today, he is at the top of his game. He is the current, reigning, defending, premier pro heavyweight champion. He is a former EPW heavyweight champion. Look, he's got the gold around his waist. He's got the goddess on his arms. And he always delivers the goods. And I'll tell you this right now, you may rise to your feet and revel in his greatness, because right now we're going to enter the house of Genesis. Jason.
Thank you, brother. What an introduction. Thank you very much.
Man, I'm trying to perfect that. I'm trying to put everybody over. Everybody gets their own introduction, but it's the truth, man. Look, you've been here before, so we ain't got to do all the pleasantries, and we ain't got to go back to how you got in this. We're going to jump right in it, dude. All Look, right. Man, when I said you're at the top of your game, you've been at the top of your game around this area, what, I would say 2 solid years at least. You've been at the very tip top, at the top of the food chain around here. And, you know, I'm guilty of this. I'm one of the guys, man, there's a lot of people around here that said, hey, go watch this guy now. If you don't see him now, one day in a few years, the only way you will see him is at a big show or a pay-per-view, so you better go check him out now. But hey, here a few weeks ago, man, you kind of went public with the fact that you're not really looking for that lifestyle, dude. Why don't you take me into the decision-making process to not only make that decision that you're not looking to go national and go to the big time, but to go public with that decision, man. Tell us about it.
Man, there was a lot of things that kind of went into it, like, it started with a booking I took at Tennessee Championship Wrestling, TCW, and just they asked me just like, if you just work a little bit more babyface tonight, not anything character breaking or anything like that, and just something about being in that moment in that ring amongst those people, it was a lot of Burt Prentice's fans, and it just took me back, and had the Christmas spirit with me, and I just leaned into the babyface thing. And I had a really good time with it, and it just felt right. Like, it was the realest promo I've ever cut, and it just felt right. And after I did that, though, like, I felt really guilty because, like, I broke kayfabe. I've never done that ever, and I've always respected the business as best as I could, and you know, and I've always been strict to my character on Facebook and everything like that. But in that moment, it just kind of made me. The decision you talked about, I really kind of had made already. I just hadn't gone public with that.
Right.
But so that's kind of why it had come out, though. It's just because I felt like I needed to clear it up, because I didn't want heat with anybody. I've done pretty well for myself sliding through this complicated wrestling world, and I don't really have a lot of heat with very many people, and I didn't want to get any. So I kind of wanted to get a jump on that before I got any, and I really had a lot of support with everything that I've done since then.
Well, look, man, you said that you didn't really want to, you liked your lifestyle, you loved your lifestyle, and you didn't really want to change to that level. And here's so much that you said you were 100% content and fine with being one of the top stars around our territory. And here's something, man. You know, I got to respect that, dude, because here's the thing. I respect the fact that you come out and you said, there's a lot of guys that don't really want to go national, but they don't want to admit that. They like what they do. They like where they're at, you know, and your shoot lifestyle works into that also. Yeah. You know, you're a teacher, you're a musician, you're an artist, you're a wrestler. Yeah. explain to me why you did not want to, take that leap of faith and go national.
Well, like I said, I'm just very content. Like, I have a mortgage. I take care of my elderly father. He's retired and he stays with us. I take care of all his medical needs and things like that. And I mean, I love my wife. That kind of lifestyle is very strenuous on that, and don't want to ever upset the goddess or anything like that. It's not that really upsetting her. Just I want to be with her. I don't want to miss anything either. And we have, we have our 6 dogs and stuff, and there's a lot of love in the house. And I'm happy with that, and it's okay to be happy with that. Like it's something I guess as I've gotten older, because I mean, obviously I've always had dreams of grandeur. Like before wrestling, it was music. I always wanted to be in a band, and I did have some success with that, but not as much as wrestling. But I've always had something like that in my mind for me, and it just, as I've gotten older, I've just kind of really accepted, like, I'll be happier just to accept it. This is where I'm at. I'm doing a lot. I'm impacting a lot of people in a lot of ways, and I have plenty to be proud of. So it's just growing up, really.
Well, look, man, like I said, you're the current reigning and defending. Actually, you're the longest reigning Premier Pro heavyweight champion in history right now. I know y'all got a couple of big shows coming up. You got a big match next Friday with Orion. And then the Friday after, no, I think it's the Saturday after that. Next, y'all will be in Bradford, Tennessee. And more than likely, you're going to have to defend that belt both weeks in a row, man. Talk to me about being the Premier Pro heavyweight champion and what it's like to have that weight on your shoulders, dude.
Well, it's been an honor. It has been. When Brian and I first started talking about things, it was he let me know he wanted me to be a big part of the company, and I was eager to do it. And it's Premier Pro has just been like the greatest takeoff of a company in a long time. Like every show is packed out, and they put on good shows, like curtain, or like from the opener to the closer. There's great matches. And there's always something different. Like it's a really good show, and I'm really proud to have been the champion for most of its history. And I take that very seriously.
Well, you've actually pretty much been the face of the company for what, 10 months now?
Yeah, around about. I think I want to say I won it in March of last year.
Right. And I'm like you, it's very seldom a company starts like they did. And man, they have not had a bad show or even a bad crowd since the day they started, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been killer. It's been a great company to work for. Like I said, very proud of being able to do that. And it clicked with me because I wrestled Sarge the first time on February 17th, which is my birthday. And so that's when I remember that one went to like a draw or a DQ and the rematch. So I know I won it in March then.
Well, look, you're also, man, you had a long reign as the EPW heavyweight champion, man. How long exactly did you hold that belt?
I held that one for 10 months as well. On TV, it aired Christmas Day. So I guess that would be the official reign. It was like 3 weeks before in real life, in real time. And then I lost it to Marco in November. So yeah, right at almost 11 months. What was it? I'm so bad with days. You wrestle every weekend, and then it just kind of blurs together.
Right.
October, November in there. Marco would know.
Well, look, I'm glad you brought up Marco because, we're going to get into it. You've also made some other decisions in the wrestling business. You made some personal decisions of kind of where you wanted to take your career and where you wanted it to be. You've also made a decision to start training future wrestlers. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about that decision. Take me through, how long have you been contemplating the idea, and take me through the decision to go on and say, yeah, I'm doing it this year, and going public with the fact.
Yeah, well, I've always been, like I said, I'm a teacher. It's like, that's the shoot job, as they say. And I'm just naturally drawn to teach people things that I'm passionate about. That's just something I get a lot of joy out of that. So it's been hard. That's another thing with this whole, like, kind of coming out of the TCW, breaking the kayfabe and everything. felt like I kind of needed to do that so that I could kind of put myself out there more, so that I could kind of have the support to open like a dojo. Like that's why I changed the name from a school to a dojo, because I want it to be more of like an open thing. We can get more into the details on that later, but it's really something I've always wanted to do. I wanted to have the experience and the ability to do so, the confidence to do so.
Right. Look, when you went public, obviously, most people know now, it raised a little bit of a controversy for a few days. But, look, from my experience, everybody develops different in this business, dude. Your tenure of years don't necessarily reflect your experience at this job. Mm-hmm. And, look, you've been at the top of the game. The way I feel about it, if you've been around our territory, the Memphis Mid-South area, and you've been at the very tip top of the food chain here, and you have been for 2 years straight, you've been at the tip top, then more than likely you've got enough experience to train wrestlers. And look, you mentioned Marco. Marco's actually the guy who defeated you for the EPW heavyweight title. But y'all got more history than that. We're talking about you opening up your dojo and starting to train wrestlers. I didn't realize it until here recently that you had a hand in training Marco and breaking him into the business. So talk to me about training Marco and breaking him into the business, and then take us on up to the point where he just recently actually defeated you for your EPW heavyweight title.
Right on. Okay. So, like I'm a teacher. He was actually a kid sitting in my classroom, and he would be the one who would get me off subject, and we'd be talking about wrestling, and would go on like that. And I was actually in training when he and I met. And so we were kind of talking about that, and he was kind of getting my story on that. And we got close to that. And then once I kind of broke into the business, and I was lucky enough to be working for Burt Prentice, and he had a studio in Jackson, Studio 45. And he let me have a lot of access to it. And I brought him Marco, and he saw that he was an athlete and liked his attitude and stuff. And he just kind of let me work him out in the ring, and saw some potential in him right then and there. So Bert went ahead and gave the go ahead on early training and letting me be the main one to do it. And we just kind of went from there. And he's a quick learner, and I learned a lot through teaching him as well. Like the whole teaching process is, you're going to learn more through teaching than anything. And it was a really good experience. So yeah, that's kind of how he broke in, though. Yes,
man, it kind of blows me away that he was actually a student in your class. That, we were kind of chatting before we went on the air a few minutes and talking about you and him kind of being intertwined. Well, that even takes it even further before the wrestling business, man. That y'all's lives and careers have kind of intersected and intertwined with each other. Okay, so let's backtrack just a little bit. And you're talking about coming out, recently returning to TCW. They've been running Jackson, Tennessee. They run Selmer. They run Dixon sometime. And now they are the remnants. They are the guys who took over when Burt passed away. They're the guys who took over the USA Championship Wrestling territory. So, look, take me all the way back to Burt Prentice, because Burt's kind of the guy who broke you into the business, right?
A bit. A little bit before that, I owe a lot to Mr. Grady Watson as well. And like my original trainer was Chris Hensley. He used to run with. Are you familiar with Chris?
I know the name, dude. I'm pretty sure I am, dude.
He definitely used to run with like K-Swiss and guys like that. And he broke me in through Mr. Grady. They were they had a ring set up. They were running a show in Selmer, actually, before, when Burt was not, during this time.
Right.
And so Grady kind of saw me and another guy in there, Travis Wolf, who I broke into the business with early on. And Mr. Grady took a liking to me as well, and I owe him a lot. And he let me get a lot of ring access as well, through me paying dues, working on the building, and I announced or refed or whatever was needed. But really, he saw potential in me, and so I really broke in at MIW to start with.
And MIW still runs every Friday night in Middleton, Tennessee.
Yeah, Oh yeah, and there might be a good chance you might see a return there eventually.
Sound like you just making a homecoming all the way around, huh?
Yeah, that's really what it's all about. Like, there's no reason why someone can't work everywhere.
Right. Right. It's hard in this business. You were talking about heat earlier. Dude, you can get heat in this business by breathing the wrong way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's simple, dude. Well, look, talk to me about how you got hooked up with Bert, and talk to me about meeting Bert. Man, I've known Bert since I met Bert the first time in probably 1992. And everybody's got a different experience with Bert Prentice. So talk to me about how you got connected with Bert and then actually meeting Bert and working with him.
So actually, I got to give thanks to Bam Bam Bundy on that one. He was working at MIW at the time, and I think he sent my picture to Bert. Or I had some pretty good pictures when I broke in. That kind of comes from my music background, just knowing to be prepared and look professional as possible. So right off the bat, we had some good pictures coming in, and Bert kind of it. I don't know, like, you know how Bert plays his game. So like, looking back at it, I don't know all of it was. I remember I ended up down in the locker room, and I made sure I looked good. I wore a suit and everything like that. Brought my gear, like they always say. And Bert's on the phone and talking to somebody, or maybe nobody, but he's like, somebody came in here just looking like a movie star. And like, I'm not going to hear him, but I heard him. But that was my first introduction to Bert ever.
He probably meant for you to hear him.
Yeah, I'm sure he did now, but like, it was a wild experience. And then just so happened they let me sit in on the booking meeting, and Dylan McQueen had suffered a shoulder injury the night before, and he was supposed to wrestle Honcho Hensley for the USA heavyweight title at the time. And Bundy said, Jason, I'll give him a good match, and threw me in there, and I was not ready for TV. But but they threw me in there, and good enough that Bert wanted to have me back, and it kind of took off from there.
Yeah, Bert's always got an eye for talent, and Bert's, when you talk about old school from the Carney days style promoter, look, Bert can get a company going in anywhere in the damn country. He can get it on TV. He can get fans coming to it, man. He was a master promoter, man, and he's always had an eye for talent. And he's smart to this business. I guarantee you he meant for you to hear the movie star comment. He knew that perk them ears up, dude. And Bert will throw you to the fire like that. You're talking about you wasn't ready for TV. I think that's actually where I was very first introduced to you at, but I think you were with Parky Will, and y'all were the Party Boys or something, maybe?
Yeah, we were PUB, the Party Up Boys, for a while. That was at USA, but I had already had probably a year's single run.
Okay.
Well, kind of in and out of tag teams with like a feud built in with Honcho Hensley. He's kind of I owe him a lot to my early days. I haven't really had a chance to talk about him much, but he helped me a lot in my early days of USA for sure.
Right. Well, look, man, what was it when Bert kind of passed? USA kind of, I mean, I'm sure it was uncertain of what was going to happen, whether it was the territory that Bert had been running was just gonna die out, or somebody's going to pick it up. And that's kind of where TCW come into effect. They kind of picked it up and started running the shows. When was the first time you actually worked for TCW?
Okay, so Perky and I, we were working at TCW as PUB to start off, and that's where I turned heel. So always staying in character from company to company. That was where I turned heel, and then that's when I started spreading that gimmick out and about from there. So I started that at TCW.
Well, let me ask you this. What brought you, when did the evolution of the Jason Genesis we know now, that we see now, when did that come along? Did you always kind of have it in there and you were just kind of waiting for the right time or the right place to put it out, or did it evolve as you got deeper in the business?
From a working standpoint or from a gimmick standpoint?
Well, from a gimmick standpoint, like, I'll be honest with you, after talking to you and seeing you live, Jason Genesis, the what we see now, I don't really think is that much of a gimmick. I feel like it's it's pretty close to who you really are. I mean, that's always the best gimmick. You always want to try to take parts of your personality and exaggerate them. But I feel like, man, it's pretty spot on as to who you are as a person overall, you know. Take out the bad guy, take out the heel or babyface, just Jason Genesis, the wrestler. I feel like it's pretty much you, man.
Well, I mean, and the goddess is a big part of that, and that's a big part of me. So that would make sense.
Right, y'all are a hell of a package, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's definitely part of it. I mean, and that's me in real life. If you got me coming, you got her coming as well. It's just we're a package deal like that. And so that she had always, you know, she had a mind for the business, just talking to her and things, even though she wasn't in it. And that was one of the first big controversial thing I did, was just kind of bringing her in along with my heel turn. And but it obviously panned out and it worked out. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't trust her. And she did obviously she's done a great job all the way through.
Parky Will said, "What's up, man?
What's up,
Glad
Parky?
to see you watching, dude. It took Jason Genesis to get you watching Buster Unmasked, man." Look, talking about the goddess. Now she's a musician also, right?
Yes.
And you're talking about pretty much from the get-go, she had good ideas and kind of understood the business. And I think being a musician, creativity is a big deal in pro wrestling. If you're really creative, I don't think it matters what field. If you're creative, you can somehow work that in to pro wrestling.
I agree, for sure. She has a lot of stage experience, for sure. She's been singing all of her life, and just being on stage and how things appear, and that it all plays together. Like I feel like I had a big heads up when I got into wrestling because of my musical background, for sure.
Right.
And as far as her being a musician, like if you didn't know this, our entrance music is actually written and performed by us. That's her singing on our song.
Well, you know, I didn't know that until you've actually been on here 4, 5, 6 months ago, and I didn't know that until our last show. And you told me that because I had been filming the shows, and normally I cut all the entrance music out because it gets you copywritten. And then you told me that. Of course, I ain't filmed none since then, but I did not know that the whole time. I wish I had, because I'd have been leaving y'all's entrance in the end of the show, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Parky says, "No, dude, I pop in from time to time." I'm glad, Parky, man. Pop in more often. Matter of fact, man, I need to get you on. I just ain't never had a connection to you, dude. I need to get you on. I like your gimmick completely. I was a mullet at one time, so I know all about the tie-dye. And I'll tell you this, you know, you going back and talking about your appearance and your clothes, I don't think a lot of people take into consideration how important that is in the pro wrestling business, man. If you want to be perceived as professional, you need to look the part, man. And one thing I can say, man, y'all are a package together. She plays her part. And talking about, you know, her musical experience and being on stage before, you can see that now that I know that, because she always stays cool, calm, and collected out there. She don't get flustered, and that's hard for somebody who's never been in front of people and done anything before. So I think that helps a whole lot, man.
Yeah. So we're glad to hear that.
Well, look, man. So let's jump forward. You're opening the House of Genesis dojo, man. Talk to me about that. Tell me where it's going to be at. I already know that you said it might float around even from place to place sometimes. So talk to me about the business model for the House of Genesis. How you actually plan on doing this? How guys can get a hold of you to be trained, man? Run us through the whole gamut of the House of Genesis, dude.
Business model is that's an overstatement of anything I got going on. So while it's a dojo, it is mobile. So basically, if you want to follow me around, we're going to be getting the shows early, and we're going to train. And through that process, you're going to eventually get ready. But through that process, also, you're going to be paying dues to whatever company, just whatever the promoter needs you to do that day, which setting up the ring, tear down, cleaning up, things like that. I just think it's a really great way to break into the business, because a lot of guys will like say, I need this much money up front, and then they'll just rob you blind. Like I've heard horror stories of people trying to get into the business, and I'm just looking for talented, hungry people. Like I'm asking for very little money. And so I'm getting beat up for it too. Man, after after the 2-day, like the tryout session, like I bumped hard for those guys, and I ain't felt like that in a long time, waking up Sunday morning.
I bet, man. I bet.
But it's worth it though, because I have some talented people that have just been looking to break in and find a way, and they found me. And I know they're not investing so much that they feel like they're going to get screwed over. There's a lot of trust there. That's a big part. And go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it going to be a pay by session style thing? Okay, so that's how I was trained. I was trained in Nashville at the USWA Academy, and at that time, I think we paid $20 for 2 or 3 hours a session. That way, you wasn't under contract. You didn't have to put out a bunch of money. They didn't have to, because man, there are horror stories. There's guys in this business that you'll give money to, and you won't even get a training session. That money's gone. Not everybody, but you got to really be careful in this business. And I like that. If I was going to run a wrestling school, that's exactly how I would do it. Pay as you go. That way, I'm not beholden to you. You're not beholden to me. If you decide you're done, I'm not out nothing. But whatever you're charging for a session, and you're not out nothing either. And then I don't have it. A lot of times, man, when you charge guys $3,000 to train them, if you got a reputable trainer, more times than not, what happens is once somebody gets in, a lot of times they figure out, hey, this business ain't for me. And then they want to leave, but in turn, they want to quit paying. And then you have to turn around and try to sue them or whatever, or just write it off. So I love the pay by session thing, man. I think it's smart. Nobody's beholden to anybody. I love the idea about if it's going to float around whatever show you're on and you're going to work them out on, they're going to do work on that show. Set up chairs, sweep floors, set up rings, whatever. I love that idea, man. Look, Jake Hudson said, like and share, Jake. I'm glad to see you back. He also said, I thought Jason was on USA Championship Wrestling. Works with Bart Prentice. He was, man.
Yep. There's some early work on there. My TV presence was not where it is now back then, that's for sure. I'd be scared to watch those.
Man, we all hate our first few matches, dude. It's all atrocious, man, when you go back and look for it. Look at it, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Look, man. Like I said, you made a return to TCW. Y'all are, what is it? Is it this Saturday you're going to be at TCW?
Yes, they've been very gracious to the dojo for sure. So that's one of our main places. Anybody listening right now, we're having, if you're looking to break in, this is an opportunity to do it. We're doing Friday and Saturday sessions, and that's one of the main places we're going to be training. We got a good setup there. So TCW has been really good to us about that. And then I'll be wrestling there that night, and that's something I like doing that because the guys are sitting there watching. So we're going to be training. I'm going to make sure that I do something in my match that we worked on so they can see it. I did that the first week, and I saw some people call me out on it, and I was proud to see that. It's a really good setup.
Okay, so that was my next question. You've actually already started. You've had a training session.
Yeah, we've had a few already.
Oh, have you? Okay. How many guys you got coming in right now?
If everybody were to attend at the same time, I'd have about 8, but it's kind of a floating session, like here and there. So I haven't had that many at one time, but I think it's a good start. I don't know how many are actually going to make it all the way through.
Well, you don't never know that, dude. Man, I mean, look, I've seen guys come in that you wouldn't think they would make it anywhere, and they make it all the way through. And I've seen pro athletes, football players, rugby players come in, and after a few sessions, they figure out it ain't for them either. It's all, man, it's up to the person, man. I had Jerry Jarrett tell me one time, he said, some guys get it right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
He said, some guys, it takes a little while for them to get it. He said, other guys, no matter who trains them, how much they train, or who tries to work with them, they never, ever get it. Yeah. And I found that to be true in my experience, man. It's 100% true. Some guys can go in and snap it up right off the bat, and it's like they were already doing it.
Mm.
Other guys, it takes a little while, but they get it, and once they get it, it's good. And then I actually trained with a guy who trained. He was training when I started, and he was still training when I quit and went to and started wrestling. And several years after that, he was still going and training every time they had a training session. And he just it never really went nowhere. He never really got it.
Yeah, that's the case. What we do is hard, and it's not for everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely true. Well, let me ask you this. We talked about you being a teacher, man. How much do you think being a teacher and dealing with people, dealing with students, just dealing with people in general helps you in the wrestling business?
I think it helps me a lot as far as just handling myself in a professional manner, and especially when it comes to the dojo stuff. Like, I have lesson plans. Like, I think about how I'm putting it together in a structured way. And I think it lends it to that way in a lot, for sure.
Right. Well, look, man, like I said, you're going to be at TCW this Saturday, but next Friday, you're going to be back at Dyer.
Yes.
Pretty much the home of Premier Pro Championship Wrestling, man, and you're facing a guy by the name of Orion. Talk to me about this matchup you got coming up, dude.
Yeah, he's a big star from OVW, and I'm not really familiar with him, but I know anybody that works for OVW has got to be on the top of their game for sure. And so I haven't made it that far yet. I'm a kind of a week of study guy, so he beat me a little bit onto it. But if you'd ask me next week, I'd be ready for it. Like I said, I just know he's from OVW. I am looking forward to the match for sure, though. I did share a locker room with him. I can tell he's a good worker.
Okay. Well, look, let's kind of backtrack a little bit, I guess, and let's talk about EPW. We kind of talked about how you got hooked up with Premier Pro. We kind of talked about how you got hooked up with TCW. Talked about Middleton and Grady Watson a little bit. Tell me how you went from Middleton and Birch to then EPW. How did that transition come about for you?
I guess I met Izzy through MIW. He was working there somewhat when I was at MIW as well. So I had the hook up there, and he and I were always just kind of in contact. And when the opportunity presented itself, I went down there, and EPW just always been really good to me. I've always enjoyed working for EPW, for sure. And we've had a great relationship, and they've given me some of the biggest moments of my career. I'm very indebted to them as well for that.
Right. You've been a big part of EPW for the last 2 years now, year and a half for sure, a big part of it. Look, Sleazy E Wrestling says, keep on rocking, brothers. Sleazy, man, I'm glad you're watching, dude. When you get your shit together, man, I still got that slot for you, that Phantom show we never did, dude. Hit me up. We'll make it happen. Well, look, Jason, speaking of OVW, you made it clear that you're not really looking to go national, but are you opposed to going somewhere like a OVW or even an NWA?
If the opportunity presented itself, but chances are the money's not going to be there for me at my level. Like, I understand I'm not a draw in that area. Like, that's part of me just accepting I have a lot to offer here, but traveling is really hard with my father, especially. I don't like not being at all for that. So that's my big thing that kind of is that responsibility. So it's about being home. If I can be home that night, possibly, that's the main thing. And then it would have to be financially gainful or a special opponent as well, if it was something that was very interesting. But it just had to be the right opportunity.
Well, I'll be honest with you, dude. It's commendable that you're a lot of guys would just cut and run if the opportunity, but you're willing to stay home and handle your responsibilities, the things that you feel like are the most important in your life. I dig that, dude. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. Well, look, dude, you've had some big opponents, man. You've had some big opponents at Premier Pro. You've had some big opponents at EPW. talk to me about some of the who's the biggest name opponent in your eyes that you've actually got to share the ring with.
My personal favorite would probably have to be Davey Richards. I'm just such a huge Davey Richards fan. I love the way he works, and he was a very gracious opponent and taught me a lot. And we did a seminar as well the next day, and it was a really good experience getting to hang out with Davey. He upped my game. I felt like I was a better wrestler after I got done with that match and that seminar. And so I would put that one as number one, just mostly because I'm such a fan of his work.
Right.
But secondly, after that, James Storm is definitely a big one up there. It's probably the biggest name I've been lucky enough to wrestle.
Right.
But as things go, man, I can talk about that match a little bit. That's not my favorite match. I got nervous. I can't lie about that.
The James Storm match.
Yeah, it wasn't my best one. I kind of shit the bed at a couple points in that one.
Well, what was it, man? Was it just nerves in general, or did you get a little starstruck?
So, yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's just, I mean, you're not on all cylinders every night, and
right.
I don't know what it was. Really, I can't put my finger on it specifically. It's just what is it? Wrong place, wrong time.
Man, everybody, we all have off nights, dude. Only thing sucks about that is the off night with that opponent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And Davey Richards is a talented guy, dude, super talented. Let me ask you this then. It's one thing to kind of be, when you're talking about James Storm, Davey Richards, they've been there. They've kind of traveled the world. They've worked a little bit of everywhere there is to work. What is it like to be, let's just say, the big fish in a smaller pond, and then getting in the ring with those guys and realizing, hey, I can hang with these guys. What was it like for you to get in there with these guys that you've kind of watched and you've looked up to? Was there a point when it hit you, was like, hey, I can hang with these guys? Was there any epiphany there where it hit you like, hey, I'm actually in here and I'm doing it?
Especially the night with Davey. Man, EPW had me work my tail off that night. It was a TV taping, and so the first episode they had me win a gauntlet match. So I had already been through 5 people that night, and then I had to go back and then prepare for the Davey match just in between, like with one episode. And then I remember laying on the mat looking up at Davey and seeing him get up there and do the howl and all that, and that was a really cool moment. Like, I was so tired at that point. I was feeling it too. But that was like a big moment of victory for me, man.
Dude, I can imagine. Look, man, talking about you laying there and looking up at him.
I didn't have to take it. That was the best part. I got to see it, but I didn't have to take it. So that was nice.
That's even sweeter, dude. Look, I was in the same position. The first time I ever got to work Jerry Lawler on TV, we originally had like 6 minutes, but as the show kept going and things kept running long, it boils down to we end up with about 2 minutes to go. So we go out there, I bump around, sell my ass off, and at the very end, he hits me with an elbow, and I'm on my back, and he climbs to the second rope, and he holds that fist up. And in my head, all I'm thinking, as I'm looking up at him, waiting on him to drop that fist, I'm thinking, I waited my whole life for this moment. That's all I could think, dude, man. It's probably maybe the coolest moment personally in the wrestling business ever. All I could think was, man, I've waited my whole life. Now, I didn't get to move. I took the fist and took the pin. I didn't get to move, but dude, it's cool when you get in there with somebody like that, and you have a good match, man. It builds your confidence up, man.
Yeah, for sure. So another one I had was the Tom Latimer match that I had, which he was one of the NWA champions. I forget the name of the belt at this time. One of their TV champion or something like that.
Right.
And so we had a good one too. And that one I did perform. I was as far as TV and names matches, that's probably the one I'm most proud of as far as how it clicked together.
Yeah, he's another guy. He's got all the experience in the world. He's been to WWE, developmental. I'm pretty sure he's worked TNA. He's worked all over the world, man. So that's the kind of opponents you want to get in there with, and that's kind of opponents that make you better, man.
Yeah, it was a great match for me in that way. He taught me a lot in that match, and he was really cool. He pulled me to the back, to the side and the back, and talked about specific things and all that. I learned a lot from that one too.
Yeah, that's cool when you meet somebody and you, especially when you click with them. Look, Justin Klein's on here, man. He said, "Don't sweat it, Jason. Parky has an off night, 365 days a year." Justin Klein, man, he never at a loss for words, dude. Never.
Always respect.
And man, that dude, he always puts you over no matter what, man.
Appreciate
Justin Klein always puts Jason Genesis over, dude. Well, look, let's go back to talking about, backtrack a little bit and talk about Marco for a second. We're talking about all your big opponents that you've been in the ring with. Well, here recently, Marco's had a few opponents that have a name for themselves out there. Been out, worked a lot of places, world traveled. Myron Reed, he recently had a match with at Premier Pro. Before that, I think it was Blake Christian he had a match with. And I hadn't seen the Myron Reed match, but I seen the Blake Christian match, man. Dude, what's it make you feel like to see Marco in there with Blake and having kind of matches he's having, knowing that you had a big hand in his development and breaking into business, man?
Such pride, man. Marco is like he's my biggest pride in wrestling, the whole thing. Like if you were asking me my favorite matches, it would be the one when he beat me for the title. Just that was it. He's kind of like my pride and joy. Like I tell people, like I want to someday show my kids the WWE champion Marco Harris and then watch dad beat him up. Like,
there you go, man.
Go back and get the throwback, like if anybody around here is going to do it, it's Marco. We all see that. And so it's a lot of pride.
Yeah, man, he's like I said about you, he's another one of the guys. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be straight up honest. Right now, I fully think maybe right now Marco is maybe the number one guy in our territory.
I agree.
He's an athlete. He's got charisma. He's got style. He's talented in the ring. But man, look, when I first put my eyes on Marco, the first time I seen him, he wrestled another young guy by the name of Devin Grant. He passed away here a couple years ago. He drowned out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But man, Marco was just a skinny kid. He really didn't have he was ripped, but he didn't really have no muscles, no physique. And man, over these past couple of years, that dude looks like that dude, every time I see him, he's more of a monster, man. He's shredded. He's put on a lot of size, and he's still able to do all the things he did when he was smaller. Look, let's talk about TCW and you and Marco. Now, I hope I'm right. I may be out of context, so you may have to straighten me up on this. But I seen something after y'all's last show, and you're talking about you kind of had a role reversal at TCW. Normally, Jason Genesis is the bad guy. Jason Genesis is out doing dastardly stuff, but, it's Christmas time. Things kind of hit you, and you had a little role reversal at TCW. But I also noticed that maybe Marco, who's normally a good guy right now, I see the little picture with you, him having you down on the mat, had you by your hair, man. Talk to me about that. What was actually going on there? It's like y'all kind of reverse roles, and Marco's now the bad guy, and you're now the good guy.
Yeah, well, because we really just were looking for a show. We really wanted to get on a show that night, and they were really booked up with the title tournament. So we went ahead and seen if we could book like a quick exhibition match. And so we're going through that. And when we're in the match, I'm just trying to beat him with a submission hold. And he refuses to tap. And we sat in that submission for like ever. And he just wouldn't tap out. And we went to time of draw on that. And he was just mad because I was trying to hurt him. But I was just trying to get him to quit. He didn't have to go through all that. So I really kind of pissed him off that night. And he even took it out on our friend Patrick. I hit the referee with the chair.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I was pretty stunned with that. So I don't know. We're just going to have to see what happens if we're going to be coexisting at TCW.
Well, look, people can say what they want about the wrestling business, but 100% truthfully, sometimes emotions get the best of you out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes emotions take over, man. Like I said, Marco right now around the area, he's kind of the boy next door, man. He's the chosen one almost. And to see him kind of turn and let his emotions get to him like that, how do you think that's going to affect y'all's relationship in the future?
I guess we're just gonna have to see how things unfold at TCW. I don't foresee our paths crossing anytime soon at EPW because, I mean, he beat me fair and square for the title and then held it with the rematch and stuff. I'm probably not gonna be at the top of that ladder anytime soon, so I'm not really too worried about our paths crossing there. But at TCW, who knows? You have to show up to the shows and find out.
There you go. Well, look, let's jump back to Premier Pro now. Like I said, you've been the champion. Now you're pretty much the face of Premier Pro. And that's another place you and Marco are intertwined together. Right now, you're still the reigning defending Premier Pro heavyweight champion, but he's also the reigning defending Premier Pro junior heavyweight champion. So once again, he's nipping at your heels, dude.
That's been the story of our career from when I first turned heel. We went to MIW and I was a heavyweight champion and he was the cruiserweight champion there. And then we went to EPW and I was the heavyweight champion and he started off as the Southern Heritage champion until he took my title. And so now we got the same thing going on at Premier Pro where I'm the heavyweight and he's the junior heavyweight. But I mean, right now he's holding down that junior heavyweight title. So I don't know if he's going to, I mean, as long as he's got that, I think he should be content there. At least he's got my EPW heavyweight title.
I don't know, dude, man. You know, it's kind of like the United States title back in the day. In my mind, that junior heavyweight title is the belt that puts him in line for you, man. To me, that's kind of how it should be, man. He's the guy that's you hold this belt and boom, man. I think he's coming for you, Jason. I'll be honest with you. Look, like you said, he took your EPW title. He's been in the ring with these world travel guys lately, man. I feel like his confidence is growing now with the little incident at TCW. Is he starting to get a little bit of the big head too? Is he maybe starting to believe a little bit of his hype? And when things don't go his way, he kind of reacted different than we're normal to seeing. But what happens if Marco does come for your title, man, in Premier Pro?
Well, I mean, I will not take too kindly to that because he already took the EPW title, and I'm very proud. I want to be the longest reigning, never beatable streak of Premier Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion, and I would not appreciate if Marco came after that particular title. But if he does, everyone knows it's going to be a fantastic match. Marco and I work excellently together. Things are always it's such a smooth match with Marco, and I always enjoy him though.
Well, look, let's jump forward a little bit now. Like I said, next Friday you're at Dyer, Tennessee, for Premier Pro, but then the week after that, on that Saturday, you're back in Premier Pro, but you're at Bradford, Tennessee. Do you have any idea who your opponent is for Bradford yet?
I do. His name is AJ Kazana, and he's a big old country boy from NWA, and I'm preparing my ice bath already.
There you go. Yeah, he's been making the rounds, dude. He's been out there. I'm starting to see his name pop up everywhere, dude. He's out there. He's touring, and he's a big guy. He's a little bit bigger guy than you're really normally used to going against. How do you plan on counteracting his size, dude?
I've been known to work a leg or two in my day, so that might be a go-to strategy for that one. Like I said, I'm a week of study person. I do know he's a big guy. I've seen him a lot. He looks like a stud. So I know I really got my hands full, but I will study up on him the week of. And probably, I like chopping the tree down from the bottom up. There's a good chance.
Hey, and if all else fails, you can't never forget you got the goddess on your arm.
I always got a backup plan or two. Another trick up my sleeve.
Yeah, man. A lot of times, look, I'm a firm believer in the wrestling business. A win is a win, kind of no matter how you get it. But man, she's been there for you, dude. Man, she's always on time when she needs to be, man.
Yeah, she's always there for me. She does her job very well. She takes good care of me in all aspects of life.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Look, let's go beyond the wrestling business. It's one thing for her to have you back in the business, but I mean, she's got your back in life, man. What's it like? What's it like being able to work with somebody that you live with, you're married to, you have a relationship with? How does that translate into y'all's wrestling?
It's amazing, brother. It's really a blessing. She's there for me with everything, man. When I'm getting undressed in the back, she's there already putting my stuff in a little hamper, and she takes care of all that for me. And we get to sit up and watch the matches together and kind of critique things and what we can work on and do better and things like that. And it's I mean, when you get to do what you're most passionate about with the person you love the most, it's amazing.
Right. And your 6 dogs, huh?
Yeah.
What is that, man? That's kind of like me and my wife, man. We had dogs before we had kids. It was almost like practice a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. We definitely have our hands full right now.
Well, look, man, we're fixing to start winding down. Why don't you tell everybody, promoters or whoever, if they're trying to get in contact with Jason Genesis and the Goddess, how they can do that, man? Where they can get with y'all, maybe book y'all shows, or even fans maybe want to contact you.
The easiest way, I'm not the best at social media, so Facebook is really it. You can just DM me on Facebook. I'm pretty good at answering all of those. That's how you would want to join the House of Genesis. Just send me a DM on that. And I think all the promoters that I am within reach of have my contacts. So I think we're good on that. But you can check Jason Genesis out on every EPW episode at 8:30 Sunday morning. I'm at every Premier Pro Wrestling event, usually on Fridays in Bradford, and then I guess we're traveling now, or Fridays in Dyer, and then we're traveling to Bradford on the 27th and on a Saturday, and then I'm going to be at TCW a lot, which is mostly going to be in Jackson, Tennessee.
Right. What are they doing? Are they running Jackson once a month now, or is it every 2 weeks?
It's kind of dependent, and depending on how successful things are with me and Marco around, we might can tip things might be more often. We'll see.
Right there. Hey, you kind of heard it from the horse's mouth right there, y'all. You want to see a barn burner of a match? I don't think these guys they seem to be intertwined in life and pro wrestling. So go check them out. TCW, Jackson, Tennessee, man. You never know. You might see a EPW rematch, man, between Marco and Jason Genesis.
With a whole different dynamic
look,
on
dude. There you go. All right, look, like I said, we're wrapping down. I want to get a couple of quick predictions. You and Orion.
Jason Genesis.
Who wins? Jason Genesis. All right, let's go. Kazanin. AJ Kazanin. Who wins?
Jason Genesis. Every time.
Genesis. That's what I like to hear, man. That's why you're
coming into my house. They're not taking my title.
That's right. You got the gold around your face. You got the Goddess on your arms. And like I said at the start, you seem to always deliver the goods, dude.
Yes, sir.
Man, I want to thank you for coming on. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. I appreciate you for giving me your time, man. And I wish you all the luck in your life and career and in your dojo, man. I'm anxious to see. I mean, just by Marco, I'm anxious to see what more talent you put out, dude.
I appreciate it, brother. That is my greatest goal is I want to have a guy on every poster in this area in the next 2 or 3 years. That's definitely right. My goal. Mm-hmm.
That's all you got to do, man. The talent you produce is going to tell everybody right off the bat whether you should be training wrestlers or not. Let your product speak for itself.
Yep, here ready to put my money where my money where my mouth is on that, and just let my talent speak for itself. I'm excited to get some guys out there. I got some very talented guys, and I'm still looking for some more. So if you want to DM Jason Genesis to enter the House of Genesis, that'd be a good idea. There's never been an opportunity like this to really join professional wrestling. The way that I'm doing it and the way I'm training is just a different, and it's a new age, and it's time to evolve.
I like it, dude. I like the concept. I like the pay-as-you-go method. I think you're going to do good, man. You seem to always do good in everything in your real life, and you've done good in the wrestling business no longer, and you've been in it, man. I think you probably well surpassed expectations of any normal person in the business, man. Just keep doing what you do, dude. Jason, like I said, I appreciate you so much. You tell the goddess I said hi, and tell her sometime I want you and her both on this show.
Okay, I'll let her know.
All right, my brother, you have a great night.
Appreciate it, brother. It was my pleasure. You have a good one.
You take it easy. All right, y'all, you seen it right there. Jason Genesis, man, go check him out. You can catch him at TCW. You can catch him at Premier Pro. You can catch him at EPW. Look out, you may even be starting to catch him in Middleton, Tennessee, too. Go check him out. Guys, I appreciate everybody watching. Look, next week, Monday and Tuesday. Monday's a short show. It's the return to 30 minutes or less. I got CJ Clapp on. He's a guy who was born into the wrestling business, been raised in the wrestling business, and we're going to talk to him and find out some stuff about him Monday, 7 p.m. Tuesday, I got the Wild Man on Buster Unmasked, Steven Styles, mainstay at MIW. If I'm not mistaken, he's the MIW champion right now. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. Monday and Tuesday, 7 p.m. both nights. Monday, 30 minutes or less. Tuesday, Buster Unmasked, Steven Styles, and always Thursday, 10 p.m. Central Time, Genesis TV, the Genesis TV network. You can find it on Roku, Fire Stick. Go check it out, guys. Y'all all have a great night, and I appreciate everybody.